Hey nerds, welcome to Shelf Candy. Today we are painting Hatsune Miku. So without further ado, let's get started. Skipping tradition, Chris is going to forego the whole Zenithal highlight funny business and simply put down a white base coat on just the areas that'll be skin. Notice he's already taken the liberty of priming the model with Chaos Black. He didn't even record that part. You're welcome. Hatsune Miku is what's known as a Vocaloid, which, if the literature is to be believed, is a creature that sings and dances and is composed primarily of, you guessed it, pigtails. Anyway, for the hair, Chris is going to start with this metallic dark blue. The goal is to emulate a sort of ombre gradient across the pigtails. What's an ombre, you say? Well, I'll assume you don't have a wife, girlfriend, or mom nearby. Ombre is the blending of one color hue to another, usually moving tints and shades from light to dark. It has become a popular feature for hair coloring, nail art, and even baking. Chris is taking special care to feather this turquoise into the darker blue, being careful to leave some exposed on the bottom and in the shadowed areas. Now for the final and lightest blue, this should be carefully applied to fade into the previous color, so there's a nice smooth transition between all three shades. Chris is going to focus on the upward-facing surfaces first, then he will attempt to highlight some specific edges. Like this one here. Ooh, careful. Careful now, Chris. No cap, this is looking pretty Sigma, and since Miku is mostly hair, we're nearly done. What next? I suppose we should work on the base. First, Chris is gonna paint the base with the same turquoise as before. You know, the color we used for the middle blue on the ombre. Try to keep up. Next, Chris is gonna go over it with this iridescent bluish-purple stuff. A light dusting is all you need. To wrap this puppy up, Chris is gonna paint a radial gradient in the center, using the lightest blue from the ombre, mixed 50-50 with that bluish-purple iridescent stuff. The reason for this is, Chris stubbornly wants the base to be turquoise, but Miku's boots have turquoise soles, and he thinks it'll look stupid if they match. Okay, let's paint the dumb boots now. Chris is just gonna put a gray gradient across the top of these, for no reason other than that's how all the reference art looks. Then he will do the same with these weird, detached wizard sleeves. Then he will stupidly put a gloss top coat on all these parts, because he's an idiot, and the trim he tries to paint later, well, it's not gonna stick, and Chris will be sad. Hey, stop being a jerk and hit that like button.
Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it.
Anyway, let's see if Chris can keep from screwing up the skin. As usual, we are starting with a rosy pink. Now, even though it's an airbrush paint, Chris still dilutes it with about 25% thinner. He wants complete coverage, meaning he is also going to paint the downward-facing surfaces that would be in shadow. Since this is a very diluted paint, he can go lighter in those areas than he would on the upward-facing surfaces. This is the base tone for the upcoming skin tones, and it may seem unnecessary, but I assure you it's not. If you skip doing this, you will undoubtedly have muddy-looking shadowed areas. Speaking of the shadowed areas, Chris will now paint those using a red wash. Shadowed areas can be more color-saturated than the illuminated parts of an object, depending on various factors such as the light source, the environment, and the material of the object. With the red wash, Chris is going to paint into all the downward-facing surfaces, trying his best to get it into all the creases without it building up too much and spidering. Chris advises lowering the pressure on your compressor and using minimal paint flow. Just take your time, it'll be fine. All right, now for the actual skin tones. Chris uses a combination of colors from these two sets. Frustratingly, the Orcish Dermis is only available in that velvet skin pack, and it's the only color Chris uses out of it. I personally think it's because Scale 75 have been co-opted by the Toledo Painters Guild. Starting with base flesh, diluted to the consistency of milk, we're gonna paint all the upward-facing surfaces before dusting the areas that would be in shadow. It's important to preserve some of those pink and red undertones from the previous step. Having adequate light is pretty critical for this step, but if your goal is to paint the skin to look sunburned, you can just go ahead and stop now. You're done. Great work. The following steps are really only important if you're trying to make the skin look not severely damaged by the day ball. Time for the natural flesh. Chris will apply this on the areas that would naturally receive light, while being mindful to preserve the previous blends he painted. The goal is a nice, smooth transition. Yes, sorta like an ombre. Painting each part from the direction light would naturally be hitting it is a great place to start. Just don't let the Toledo Painters Guild catch you doing it. They'll get big mad. Finally, time for the highlights. This you want to just paint on the upward-facing surfaces, more specifically where light would be hitting most directly. Again, be mindful of the previous blends. Don't cover everything you just painted, just the areas you want to be the brightest. Like cheekbones, nose, shoulders, you know, the upward-facing stuff. Looks good, Chris. Can't wait to see how you screw it up. Once Chris is done feathering some of this onto the bottom of the thighs, it's time for the liquid magic Orcish Dermis. Simply paint this lightly over the surface, mostly from the underside. You'll see. It just unifies everything. Oh snap, I almost forgot! In order for Chris to unleash his righteous fury upon the Toledo Painters Guild, he must get this channel monetized. To that end, he is giving away this hand-painted Devilman print from his first video. All you have to do to enter is like and subscribe and leave a comment on this video. When Chris hits 100 subscribers, a winner will be chosen at random from the comments, and Chris will personally reach out to get your details and ship it off to you. The winner will be announced in the following video. So tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your crazy ex you haven't talked to since high school. Share this video far and wide. Only together can we defeat the Toledo Painters Guild. Chris is once again using his forbidden silly putty masking technique. If you would like to learn more about this dark magic, you can watch some of his previous videos. Those of you with keen eyes have probably noticed that these are the same colors we used on the pigtails. It's important that the blend from those parts align with this part, so it's a good idea to test fit them before you're done. The approach Chris is taking is to just simply build up the highlights by painting down from the top. In other words, respect that ombre. This is the last little bit in the airbrush booth before we get to the fiddly hand-painted details. Notice, Chris has again unleashed his heretical silly putty technique upon all the areas he wants to protect. It can't be understated that while the Toledo Painters Guild hides within the walls of their grand compound, hoarding their knowledge and rigidly adhering to their archaic doctrines, Chris wanders the earth, freely spreading his personal gospel of shortcuts, tips, tricks, and occasional quackery. Such noble work comes at great expense. If you would like to stand with Chris against that malevolent order of clowns and buffoons, all you have to do is smash that like button. Don't just dispassionately click it. Smash it. Smash it real good, with all your undiluted fury and rage. That'll teach 'em. Okay, now let's wrap up Miku's smocks shirt tank top thing. First, Chris is gonna base coat it with a light gray, before senselessly trying to be some sort of paint alchemist, concocting his own pearlescent white potion. Paint. Whatever. Like, what are you doing, dude? Just paint it white and then paint over it with that translucent metallic medium. Ugh. His airbrush really doesn't like this at all. White paint regularly clogs Chris's airbrush. He has tried tons of brands at 1,000,000 dilutions with different mediums. If anybody has any recommendations, please leave them in the comments. Or don't. I'm perfectly content to just watch him fumble through this over and over again. And while he fumbles with it, let's go ahead and honor Chris's brave patrons. Let's show them the reverence they deserve. Join me now by standing and saluting these valiant heroes to this noble cause. Behold, Jaden and Josh, who are undoubtedly the most handsome, smart, mighty warriors to ever walk this earth. Welcome. Our destinies are now intertwined in an unbreakable fellowship against the Toledo Painters Guild. Here's the gratifying putty removal part. Pro tip: let the paint dry before removing the putty. It's easier to handle, and you won't have to worry about stringy strands of uncured paint being pulled across your otherwise perfectly masked surface. Chris recommends using a toothpick to get it started, because there's virtually no risk in damaging the surface. Pointy metal things, however, well, that's some crap the Toledo Painters Guild would do. Just magnificent. Now let's wrap this piece up with some turquoise trim. This took like 3 thin coats to get complete coverage. Painting it is tedious enough when it's just 1 coat, so Chris wasn't what I would call happy about it. When you're not getting complete coverage, you have to resist the urge to use a thicker paint. You'll just end up leaving brush strokes all over your piece. You also have to be patient and let each coat fully dry, or you risk reactivating the previous layers and getting a globby, clumpy, gross texture. It just sucks, and it might be the most discouraging part of the process, especially when it's on trim or any fine details that require a delicate touch. Remember the gloss coat Chris prematurely put on the legs? Yeah, well, if you look closely, you can see that he sanded the trim parts because the paint indeed wasn't sticking. Paint needs a surface it can bite into. That's why primers are so important. They leave behind a dry, almost rough surface that paint just loves. Glossy surfaces, on the other hand, the paint will just slide around on it, because there's nothing to break the surface tension and it can't bond properly to a non-porous surface. Over time, it will be easily damaged and even flake off. There are several pink accents to paint. To start, Chris has stolen a makeup sponge from his wife and at great risk will now use it improperly. Much like a stamp, dab the sponge into the paint, then lightly dab onto the surface. If you press too hard, well, you're gonna ruin it and have a big oopsie to deal with. Notice it can leave behind little bubbles. To get rid of these, keep dabbing the surface lighter and lighter until they are gone. In total, it took about 3 passes and just 10 minutes of what Chris calls work. Continuing with the pink accents, Chris is going to quickly fill in the last detail on these headphones. What a great place to shout out today's sponsor. Lucky for you, Chris doesn't have any sponsors. Could you imagine, though? 30 seconds of Raycon B-roll right here, and literally tens of dollars in our pocket. Anyway, this is the last detail to paint on the body, this thick ribbon thing. Chris is gonna paint it pink, because he doesn't know what it is. So why not? He could have painted it black and got it painted in one coat. But again, Chris is kind of a dummy. Using another one of his wife's makeup sponges, Chris is gonna apply the last pink accent on these anti-gravity pigtail retention cube things. Same process as the base. Finally, it's time to finish the face. First, we're gonna outline the eyes in black, being extra careful to have nice, smooth outside edges. The face is the most important and difficult part to paint, so always paint it last if you want crippling anxiety to build up throughout the entire model painting process. Now, using the darkest blue from the ombre, let's paint in those eyebrows. Again, just be careful, and remember, even if you screw up, you can just start over from scratch. Now for the sclera, use an off-white like deck tan and just fill that sucker in. Save pure white for the highlight. Be mindful around the black eyeliner you just painted. Here's a pro tip. If you feel the urge to sneeze, put your brush and part down first. Trust me. Just trust me. Real quick, we're gonna paint the lips with this magenta that's strangely named Fluid Pink, before moving on to the irises, starting with Magic Blue. These are those sculpted kind of eyes, so the iris is concave. Chris is just gonna paint up to the edge, and if he accidentally paints onto the sclera, he can touch that up pretty easily. Then we're gonna start adding a lighter blue and create a gradient across the eye, getting lighter toward the bottom, by wet blending this lighter blue into the darker blue. And now, the pupil, which we will paint black. And last but not least, the highlight. That's that ball that's sculpted into the eye. We'll paint that white. All right, guys, I think it's done. Behold!
Shelf candy. Oh God, and now you go. Oh God, and now you go. Oh God, and now you go.
All right, I'm gonna go now. Subscribe. Fuckers!
Shelf candy is one bad hombre.